Introduction. Welcome to Homo species. Homo species existed at least 2.8 million years and mostly focused on the extinction of Homo neanderthalensis. Homo neanderthalensis similar as human but different in more rounded skull and has a prominent brow ridge. Competition and climate change are thought to be most factors, but it's rare for earlier Homo species because they face extreme climate change and increase in pressure. There's study to prove how earlier Homo survived. It considers 6 species, which are Homo habilis, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo ergaster, Homo neanderthalensis, Homo erectus, and Homo sapiens. Each divided each fossil Homo species, compared climatic niche within the bin to the niche throughout its entire existence. Calculate Schorner's D to calculate the niche of lab. Results of study indicate that Homo species were capable of adapting either biologically or culturally and climate conditions.
The relevant studies based on statistical test search. The search strategy involved a combination of the following 3 sets of keywords. First, Schorner's D-value. Second, multivariate Euclidean distance and niche centroids distance. And principal component analysis (PCA) during searching at the word PDF in the end of sentence for broadened journals and articles.
Based on the article, the result from this investigation, they use a 3 method only, which is the Schorner's D-value, principal component analysis, multivariate Euclidean distance and niche centroid distance, and the analysis for the climate niche factor analysis, as known as C and FA, is the analysis for method number 3 actually. So this method C and FA is related with the method number 3. Right. So we go to the next slide. So this is the 6 species of the Homo species. We have a Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo sapien, which is us, right? So Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalensis, and Homo heidelbergensis. Okay. So we go to the next slide about the Schorner's D-value. So as we can see now, they have a 6, right? 6 graph that equivalent to the 6 species of a Homo species, right? So I want to tell about the indicator of the graph first. So as we can see, they have a 2 line right at the graph. So the top and the lowest one, the lowest line. So if we going to discuss for the last part, we're going to discuss for the last part only, right? So each of graph, right, they have a double line. So if the last part at the upper line or between the book of lines, that means the species are not extinct. But if the last bar below the lowest line, right, so that means the species are already extinct. Okay, so we can see now, for Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, and Homo neanderthalensis, we can see at the last bar, right, mostly of them, the bar is below of the second line, the lowest line. So that means 3 of them are extinct. But for Homo habilis, Homo ergaster, Homo sapien, we can see that most of them are overlapped between the 2 line or maybe above the line, right? So that means 3 species are not extinct already. So the scientists so the investigator on this article make an investigation about, they have a sudden drop of this extinction of the Homo species, right. So it's suggesting that the climatic change may cause the extinction, but there is some assumption about the extinction of Homo species, which is first about the termination phyletic lineage. So they have I give one what we call it, one example of the picture about the anagenesis process. So anagenesis is occur when the common ancestor are evolved with the different morphology, right? Different morphology, but the same species, but they connected to their common ancestor, right? So it's so this anagenetic process will occur transitional form. So what is the transitional form means? So this is one what we call it, one picture, one example picture that I'm attached. For example, at the left below about the transitional form of the Homo species, right? So the second one, for example, for the transitional form is Homo habilis and H. augusta probably represent the transitional form actually. So the second one, assumption of the extinction of Homo species is competition. So we can see that maybe the competition between the Homo species, for instance, intake of the expansion of the superior competitor, right? So this will provide a potential mechanism that will cause the Schorner's D to drop during the last bit regardless of the climatic forcing. Maybe they're related to the sudden drop the species, Homo species. So the last one is climate change. So climate change maybe also that make the Homo species will extinct, cause the extinction. So next slide, I want to briefly about the Homo sapien, Homo neanderthalensis, and Homo erectus places, right? So actually, we can see that the Homo sapien, the fossil found in the Dali, Jinshuan, China, Narmada, India, and Stenham, Germany, right? But these fossil are younger than the earliest found the fossil record of the Homo sapien, which they found at the Jebel Irhab, Morocco. Right. So this means the Homo sapien that they found at the Dali, Jinshuan, China, Narmada, India, and Stenham, Germany are younger than the first, the earliest appearance, the fossil record of the Homo sapien at the Jebel Irhab, Morocco. For next, for the Homo neanderthalensis, they are found also at the Dali, Sichuan, China, Narmada, India, and Stenheim, Germany, right? But they also found the fossil of the Homo neanderthalensis at the Cima de los Huesos at Spain also. And next, the Homo erectus also, as we can see below, the last place of the Homo erectus to survive at the Java, Indonesia, at Ngandung and Sabu Macam. That I show you a map at the right side. Okay, so this is a last place for the Homo erectus, or the last found the Homo erectus survive at the Java, Indonesia. So next, we're going to the multivariate distant equivalence. So as we can see that they have a sig graph, right? So we have the Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo sapien, Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo neanderthalensis. So the x-axis indicate the difference range of each species at the x-axis. So we're going to discuss about the below graph first. So as we can see, they have a tree, right? Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo neanderthalensis. So Homo erectus, as we can see that the different range for each species at the x-axis is bigger, which is difference, which is they have a big reduction of species. Same goes to the Homo heidelbergensis and Homo neanderthalensis, which there are the sudden decrease, right, for both species due to extinction. So next, we're going to the last slide about the result of the investigation, the extinction of Homo species, right? So as we can see, they have a two graph, which is a principal component analysis, CPA, at the left side, and the niche central distance at the right side. So this graph, we use the analysis of CNFA, which is the climatic niche factor analysis. So what is CNFA actually for? So it's used in conservation study to calculate expected vulnerability of species to future climate change by projecting species climatic prefer ahead in time. That's mean this analysis, we want to prove that the extinction of the Homo species is related to the climatic change actually, right? So we're going to focus the left side graph first, which is the principal component analysis, CPA. So the x-axis is shown the vulnerability to climatic change, and the y-axis we show the density. So as we can see that the biggest range of vulnerability to the climate change is Homo erectus, and following the second one is Homo heidelbergensis, and the third one is the Homo neanderthalensis. The last one is the Homo sapien, right? So that means the Homo erectus is more vulnerable to the Homo heidelbergensis, and the Homo heidelbergensis is more vulnerable with Homo neanderthalensis, and the Homo neanderthalensis is more vulnerable to the Homo sapien actually. So the most vulnerable to the climate change is Homo erectus. That means the Homo erectus is most mean the Homo erectus affected the climate change that's caused them to the extinction also. And how about the Homo sapien? Homo sapien is more or less vulnerable to the climate change. That means the Homo sapien can survive all the change in the climatic, all the climatic change, and its period during its existence, a vulnerability should appear lower than its extinct species to prove climate change matter to them. So that's why the Homo sapien can live until now, right? So as we know that we are the Homo sapien, so the Homo sapien can survive all the climatic change because the vulnerability of Homo sapien is smallest, right? So that's why, but the remain of the Homo species, right, are only extinct because they're affected because the climatic change that caused them to the what we call the extinction also.
Discussion. Analysis of niche overlap enable us to look in detail at the climatic niche in Homo species. The ECN and BCN is compared using the PCA, which is the principal component analysis, to analyze which climatic variable has the most influence on the ECN and the BCN.
Moving on to Homo erectus. In this species, the last BCN is the most distant from ECN among all bins. And during the last bin, Homo erectus settled under the warmest and the most humid climates. And fossil records and physical evidence found suggest that Homo erectus was adapted to warm climates. So, since this species was adapted to warm climates, they faced extinction during the glacial period, which is the coldest period that species ever experienced. Moving on to Homo heidelbergensis. In this species, the BCN last bin barycenter was the most distant from the ECN barycenter, and this species was found in relatively warm areas, which is the Indian subcontinent and Southern Asia. For Homo neanderthalensis, in this species, the last BCN barycenter of Neanderthals was close to the ECN barycenter. During the last bin, this species experienced a slight shift towards more arid and warmer climates, and this species was found to be stronger than the previous two species, which are Homo heidelbergensis and Homo erectus. And this species, since they were adapted to warmer regions, they disappeared at very high latitudes because they preferred warmer climates. The vulnerability of these type of species towards climatic change can be observed in the graph, which is Homo erectus was found to be most vulnerable to climate change, while Homo sapiens was the least vulnerable to climate change. Because if you observe the graph of the Homo erectus shifts towards the right, which shows that it is the most vulnerable to climatic change, while for the graph of Homo sapiens, the graph shifts towards the left, so meaning to say that it is the least vulnerable to climate change. From this study, we can say that the earliest occurrence of Homo erectus was about 2 million years ago, and at that time, other type of species haven't existed. So Homo erectus, they did not live along with other hominins, meaning to say that the extinction of Homo erectus is directly caused by climate change. Studies have shown to us that the fossil dating of Homo heidelbergensis and Homo neanderthalensis have
overlapping of time, meaning to say that they live at the same period of time. So in the case of this, Homo neanderthalensis is the only candidate species left as a potential competitor to Homo heidelbergensis. Besides that, the occurrence of Homo sapiens and Homo neanderthalensis also overlap, meaning to say that Homo neanderthalensis is the only species for which direct competition with Homo sapiens is possible, and this competition may have in fact contributed to the extinction of Homo neanderthalensis. The results obtained from this study are due to several factors. The first factor is interbreeding. There was significant interbreeding between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, and there was also interbreeding between Neanderthals, Homo sapiens, and Denisovans. Next, the factor is competition. Competition might also become one of the factors for extinction to occur. However, except for Homo neanderthals, the evidence for extinction of the other species due to competition is limited. Homo neanderthals is the species which is the potential competitor to Homo heidelbergensis, and this type of species also had direct competition with Homo sapiens later. The summary obtained from this study is that the evidence found implies that the BCM contraction that we observe in the last bin of extinct Homo species is due to competition, but overall, climatic change is the main cause for extinction of the species. So, our ancestors have become extinct due to their inability to overcome climatic change, and humans are the Homo species which remain on Earth until today, but we also need to take precautions towards climate change, or else someday we will also become extinct.
Sudden climatic change were a major cause of the extinction of early human species. The aim of the researchers is to determine the link between each species' climatic niche and the range of variables that are best for survival, including temperature and precipitation, also as well as how widely spread the niche region was across time. The team also found that the three Homo species, which is Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, and Homo neanderthalensis, all lose a considerable percentage of their climatic niche space right before extinction, according to statistical evidence. Homo sapiens is one of the several species grouped into the genus Homo, but it is the only one that is not extinct. Like other early humans that were living at this time, Homo sapiens gathered and hunted food and evolved behavior that helped them respond to the challenge of survival in unstable environment. Generally, species are good at surviving, but when livable areas decrease, species enter what is known as the Extinction Vertex.